Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, my name is Melanie, and sometime my most favorite time of the year for the garden. You guys have already for springtime, prepped soil, so this is I've got all the warm plants, and we're ready to take a break and sit back and watch the garden. Ooh, yes,
I'm having a difficult time hearing you. Maybe that needs to be a little closer.
is this okay?
Yeah.
And you
can
test
it,
Okay, all right. So imagine taking all of your stuff from your garden, you got your peas, tomatoes, and squash, and everything's all ready to go. And it's gonna be a beautiful thing as everything starts blooming and all of your produce and all of your hard work from the spring is finally becoming fruitful. But it takes regular attention and effort. Over the next 20 minutes, I will be sharing some past good things to consider for summer gardening, ranging from how temperature can affect certain plants and the way to protect your garden from the heat and how to get continual abundance from your garden and to keep it producing, and what to do in the late summer to have produce in the fall. Thanks, so I got a calendar. The soil temperature is the main thing for seed germination and plant growth, not air temperature. So when it says 50 degrees, that's not 50 degrees outside, it's the actual temperature of your soil. So if you're like a lot of gardeners, you use the last frost date for Charleston area, that is May 3rd for this year. And the guide to start transplanting your tomatoes, squash, cucumbers, seeds, and all the things that you have to get it out of the greenhouse and into the soil. But how many of you have actually transplanted young plants in early May, but they died? Or used Mother's Day as your reference to your natural calendar and they didn't germinate? It could be because the soil temperature is too cold. A great gardener tool to have is a soil thermometer. These are just different examples of thermometers that you can use. Each seed is different for germination and growing. If it's too cold or too hot, the seeds won't germinate, or it may take much longer to germinate than you would expect. The usual range for soil temperature for seeds is 60 to 89 degrees. So here's the danger. If a seed has to wait too long in the soil before it warms up, it could rot, and it just has too much moisture while waiting. Most seeds need warmer soil to get a good start. That's why many people have seeds indoors and use heat mats. One of the handouts provided is from the University of California Extension on soil temperature conditions for vegetable seed germination. Some cool weather seeds like peas may germinate in 40-degree soil. That is soil and not air temperature. And then others like snap beans need soil temperatures of 60 degrees. And the temperature also determines how many days it takes for those seeds to germinate. And sometimes they'll write on the back of those seed packets. Warm season plants need a longer growing season and are best started indoors here in the Puget Sound. But before you start transplanting seeds outdoors, the nighttime air also does matter. Sometimes being in a cold night, like tomatoes at night, can do 50 degrees. Other warmer summer nights can thrive. For example, cucumbers need nighttime temperatures in the 60s, so it's okay to be patient till June to plant those. Every plant has its different preferences. So make sure you look at what you need before planting them in the soil. Your plants also, like we discussed before, the nutrients in the soil is important to have very rich soil in bacteria, fungi, and organic materials and minerals that provide them with everything they need to grow healthy. This is a topic for a different session. So someone else will be covering that, but just to keynote some key things to consider for benefits of the soil, be organic as possible. Top dress with compost, like we've talked about already, and explore the world of organic fertilizers that Mary talked about. You know, the organic teas, the compost, the foliar sprays, the granular fertilizers, and you can look at the EDU extension websites for recommendations on that. same crops rather than planting your entire row of beans all at the same time. I know that some people have seeds from leftover and you have an entire package of like 100 peas. You can't, if you want, plant all 100 peas and have them all grow at the same time, which is great if you're a canner. You just take all of it and can it. Or you can have fresh produce throughout the summer by every 2 to 4 weeks, plant another row, and you continually have a new crop coming in all summer long, which is pretty fun. Or you can do different crops, like succession planting. It allows you to plant different crops in the same space, like cool season crops, late winter. Like right now, you can plant like lettuce and onions, just have a cover, and then you can cover your garden bed. And then when that's done, then you can transplant like other things in there, and then so on and so forth. Early spring crops, and then the winter warm season crops, and then fall crops last, which is kind of cool. Summer heat can be quite stressful. Plants was so hot this past summer, and it's going to continue to be more hotter other summers come. So here are some ways to help our plants during the summer. When they get too hot, plants can weaken and then we're susceptible to disease, pest, weaker growth, less fruit, and sometimes they just end up dying. So water, as we talked about before, is a valuable resource that requires small and smart conservation efforts. Plants need regular watering, and here are some tips. Water in the morning, not in the middle of the day, not at night. Water in the morning where the water has the most time to be absorbed by the soil and the plant roots. So you lose less water as the air warms and evaporation occurs. The sprinklers, those were pretty cool sprinklers that they were mentioned, but they do lose a lot of water due to evaporation. And when the water hits the leaves, it shows the soil. So installing a drip irrigation system is a great way to conserve water. And then watering deeply. Sometimes I don't have to water every day, just water every other day or every 3 days. Planting at least an inch of soil for the week. This is what goes on, right? Yes, right. Yes, so you water the roots, water deeply, water every 3 days or every 2 days. So here are types of mulch that you guys can use to keep that water underneath the soil. Watering the soil is at risk for evaporation during the summer heat. Since water is a valuable resource, it's important to mulch the soil to retain moisture and reduce weeds. When the temperature soars, the layer of mulch also helps the plant roots stay cool, and the mulch will eventually decompose and add organic matter to the soil. And so here are a few other different types of organic mulches that we can use: wood chips, compost, cover crops, straw, grass clippings are all great to add to the soil. So plants have different needs for sun, shade, temperature, like we talked about with the design. Heat waves during the summer provide a challenge for plants. As summers are changing, consider adding plants that do better in full sun, like corn, eggplant, peppers, tomatillos, melons, sunflowers, and more. Using garden soil wisely and maximizing space by retaining planting, this is very helpful in many ways. Using the vertical space, so plants like squash spreads and shades the soil while the beans and corn grow tall. This is the three sisters companion planting. Taller plants like indeterminate tomatoes or beans or sunflowers can also provide shade and coolness to other plants. For example, sunflowers can provide shade and coolness for lettuce, and more variety and diversity of flowers produce and increase the ability for gardens to manage pests and disease naturally. Our northwest summers are starting to experience more heat waves. The extended days above 90 degrees are in the forecast. Please use a shade cloth or protective robe. They can help in the intense sun beating down on leaves and lower temperatures by 5 to 10 degrees. Sometimes you can use a sheet, if it's a white sheet, just pass it over, with some taller items. So it doesn't land on your plants, but just to kind of shade it, and it will lower the temperature a bit. Summertime is to carefully observe your plants for pests, slugs, and disease. Pest management is covered in a different workshop, so the main focus is to be vigilant and repeat the time learning and identifying and managing pests by using the integrated pest management system, like the one on the WSU website for integrated pest management. If you want your flowers to only bloom once, feel free to let them go to seed and don't do anything. You might find them all over your yard, but letting a plant go to seed signal that for new production is finished. I like to have my flowers bloom as long as possible. So when I walk by my plant, I carry a bucket and I just deadhead as I go. Deadheading is super simple. As blooms fade, pinch off the flower stems below the spent flowers, just above a node or a full of healthy leaves. Deadheading causes the plant to direct its energy to stronger growth and more flowers instead of making seeds. This continues food sources for pollinators, aids you to cut flowers and arrangements for weeks and months and longer, and your garden will be amazing. Where to pinch? If you go down the stem until you see new leaves forming into tiny pillars, pinch right above the point. This will soon produce new flowers instead of going into seed mode. Pinching sends a message to the plant and grows more blooms and makes a bushier and bigger plant. Pinching is a form for pruning both flowers, fruits, and vegetables, but this is done when the plant is done. Some plants grow along one stem and get longer and taller and produces limited flowers and fruits, and eventually it's top heavy and falls over, like tomatoes. So pinching off new tender growth at the tip of the plant encourages more flowers, fruit, and air circulation and reaching the light of the plant. If left unchecked, plants can turn into a jungle quickly, which reduces airflow, light reaching the plant, increases the risk of disease, and pest problems. The handout provides a WSU extension tip on sheet number 7 on growing tomatoes. When harvesting the young leaves of your fruits, like beans and peas, they are best when they're picked young and fresh. If you wait too long, the pea nut turns tough and bitter, and the plant energy goes to producing seeds instead of more fruits or leaves. For leaf lettuce, if you don't harvest within a certain amount of time or when they're done, the plant starts to bolt, which means like the lettuce and it goes really, really tall. Like, why is my lettuce not supposed to look like that? That is what is called bolting. And that means that it's growing bitter and leggy and it directs its energy to producing seeds instead of leaves. And then the opportunity to have several harvests from one plant is completely lost, unfortunately. But leaves, lettuce produces new leaves starting from the center and then kind of blooms its way out. So one way to have continual harvest is to use scissors, a knife, or your fingers and just pinch out the outer leaves instead, because the newer leaves will grow inside. And so you just pinch those out and you have lettuce all year round. It's great. So preparing for the fall, pretty simple. You just remove diseased plants. Continue gardening by planting cool season and late summer by direct sowing. The garden doesn't need to end in October and September. Year-round gardening is definitely achievable for sure. So thank you. Any questions? Yeah.
You had mentioned like, when you're planting peas, for example, you said don't plant your 100 seeds at once, but stagger it for 2 weeks and then.
Yeah.
So when you do that, so at Catalyst, for example, I have a garden bed and I start to plant my peas in a row.
Yeah.
Then do you do your second one like within that row so that they're gonna grow intermittent, or do you make a new row for your second row?
You can't, it depends on how big your garden bed is.
It's 4x8.
4x8, I think, the whole thing, piece, like, you can just do like one row is your first row, and then behind that, you can do another row. And then as it's growing, the one that was in the front that you already planted, will start to die down, and you might wanna like trellis onto whatever you're trellising, and it kind of cascades over that, and then have another row behind that, and it goes over, and that way it just keeps going over.
Okay, so make every 2 weeks, for example, make
Yeah.
another row.
Yeah, right behind that other row, exactly, yeah. Yeah. Anything else?
All right, thank you.